That was a different world, a world that was much like theirs, but at the same time not quite. It was home to creatures unlike any had seen on Earth, and dragonkind stands above them all. In the hall, a voice raises that now he knows what he was thinking. A servant came and asked over to the Majesty, would he kindly look over those documents? He was afraid that it was urgent. The king believed what he was doing in a place like that at this particular moment. The king narrates that one probably wondering how she ended up in the situation. But first thing first, she was Ruri Midorikawa, and once upon a time she was just a dime a dozen Japanese student. That being said, with the foreign model for a mom and a diplomat for a dad, she definitely scored big in the genetic lottery. Lapis lazuli eyes were where she got her name, platinum blonde hair from her mother. Combining her Japanese feature with the good looks her parents gave her, one would think she had been pumping her face 24/7 at the repeat talk of the social ladder. Too bad that was probably where her luck ran out. When she was 4 years, she continued that so. Instead of skipping and dancing her way through life with her head in the clouds, she found herself at butt of one misfortune after another. And it was all her fault. A small girl, her name was Asahi Shinomiya. They both had been next-door neighbors as far as she can remember and playmates for just as long. Don't get her wrong, but she was cute as heck. Literally everyone worshipped the ground she walked on. The thing was, people tended to take it a little too far. Asahi stated that she liked Ruri-chan's doll. Ruri thanked her and mentioned that even her dolly was cute too. Asahi expressed that she was so lucky, she wished she had her doll and now she won it. Ruri asked over if she wanted to do tradesies. Asahi denied that she was hers. Ruri stated so she wanted both. Ruri denied it and Asahi shouted at her that she give her that doll now. Ruri states that she would like to think that she was quite justified in her objections, thank you very much. But for whatever reason this was the inevitable outcome every single time. Asahi finally had both the dolls. Ruri screamed it was not fair, why they were looking at her life. She should hand it over first, she doesn't get it. And the abuse continued. Even in elementary school, Asahi wanted to make her hair just like Ruri-chan. She wanted blonde hair too. Ruri informed her that she knew it was against the rule to dye the hair. The next day, Asahi came mentioning that she dyed her hair. Ruri voiced, what about rules? This teacher ear that hear of her is what made Asahi-chan do that in the first place. The teacher ordered her to go home and dye it at once. She was the one who came out on top. Asahi questioned why was Ruri's hair black now. Ruri mentioned that she compromised with the wig. In middle school and high school, it was just more of the same. On a field trip, the teacher stated that Asahi-chan was missing. Why weren't her keeping a proper eye on her? Ruri expressed that they were not even in the same class. She slammed her book and articulated that she can't keep living like that. This is the last they will hear of her. Once Ruri hit college, she was a free woman, so she secretly studied her as if to get into a school that was way out of Asahi's league. And at long last, she was free, or so she thought. At results, Asahi cried that she doesn't make it. But little did Ruri know that she had weaseled her way into the same apartment complex she was boarding in. Asahi informs her that she was renting there too. Ruri believed that this was it. This was her life, stuck commuting back and forth with Asahi even though they go to different schools while her fan club tries to murder her with their eyes. Every new year, she made extravagant offerings on her shrine visits, praying it would get her away from that girl someday, but she could have flushed her money down the toilet for all the good it did to her. She was just living an ordinary, humble life. She was still wearing a brown wig so she didn't stick out like a sore thumb. Ruri believed that maybe it was time to give black magic a shot. She suddenly noticed as a shining ring around her as they were floating. She wonders what these maybe a bell were. Asahi mentioned was no one else was saying this or hearing it. And suddenly the ring started falling at the ground and they all burst. Asahi was confused at what was going on. Ruri stated that her eyes it was too bright, and the next thing she knew they were in another world. She was in a big hall with weird people standing in front of her. One of them screamed that the Lady Priestess. The Lady Priestess has graced them with her presence at last. They have done it. The ritual was a success. Those men grab hand of Asahi stating that they have long waited her coming Lady Priestess. They all gathered around her and exclaimed as those peerless locks, overwhelming charm, she was indeed the one for whom they have waited. Ruri expressed that she saw coming from my away, look at her eating that up. Wait a minute. If she ditch Asahi and go home without her, she will be free once and for all. It was a great idea as she was a bona fide genius. Ruri called out one of the men and stated that she was getting the impression that the lady priestess was the only one they all were looking for, so if they don't need them, would they mind sending them back where they came from, if it wouldn't be too much to ask. The man respondent sends them back. Was she crazy? They were stuck there, and thus their wholly non-consensual sojourn in another world begins. In the library, Ruri found a book, and she expressed that she gets being the lady priestess's friends, entitles them to a certain standard of living, so that was a plus, but other than that she was totally clueless. Meanwhile, Asahi hugged her from behind and asked if she wasn't studying out here. Ruri mentioned that it wouldn't kill her to take this a little more seriously either. She has learnt one or two things at last. Firstly, she knows that they use magic in the kingdom, and second, life is just business as usual for her anyway. A girl came stating that lady priestess she seen found of Miss Ruri. Asahi remarked that they were bestest friends. The girl expressed who was that. Asahi stated that he said he was the prince of the Hui kingdom. Meanwhile, every voice inside Ruri's head was screaming at her that this means nothing but bad news. Ruri thought that it was time to start watching her back. She guessed now she'd get to be hated by the upper crust of the society. What a pain. If only she could get out of this stupid castle. Suddenly a group of soldiers came running towards her, exclaiming there she was. Seize her? Seize the traitor. Later she was presented before the king. Ruri questioned the king that she may ask what crime she was accused of. The king confirmed what it was again to his son. He notifies that this commoner won't let him have any alone time with. She was after the lady priestess life. Ruri was confused and stated she was kidding, right? What a hot load of crap. The girl mentioned that he will have none of her back talk. She had witnesses. One of the witnesses, the statement that His Highness was right. Exact words were, and I quote, "She loathes Asahi-san for monopolizing the prince's affections. She shall see her dead." They all started screaming that she must pay for her ill intent, her crimes. Banish her to the hidden forest. Ruri sighs and inquires, just so they were clear, does Asahi know about any of this? Highness responded that he should say not. Why the lady priestess would be beside herself with grief to discover one of her supposed comrades was after her life. He will simply tell her that she could tolerate no more of living in this castle, so she runs off on her own. How would she like that? Ruri somewhere got happy about the decision. Ruri was tied up, and His Highness exclaimed that wipe that look off her face this instant. He exclaimed, banish her. Get her out of his sight. Be quick about it. She was made to sit in a horse cart, while she believed if that was all it took to get Asahi out of her hair, she can't imagine how much brighter and happier her life would be. Ruri yelled, at least cut the rope before he leaves. He was a brain-dead Nimrod, and what the hell kind of test was this supposed to be? After she reached the forest, it was dead silence. She was all alone. She expressed that she was sick and tired of that crap. It was also absolutely predictable. She was not afraid of getting her hands a little dirty to survive. In fact, she could probably live all right there in the woods even on her own. She wonders if this was karmic retribution for something horrible she did in the past life. Even then, this was just cruel. But she can find some way to cut those she was pretty much out of, and suddenly the ropes were cut. She was confused that how did those get cut? With some kind of sharp implement by the look of it, she suddenly heard the sound of rings. That sound, it was the same bell as the one she heard back then. The sound continued coming, and Ruri wondered, was it calling for her? Though it couldn't be. If she goes that way, she might be heading away from the castle where Asahi and others were. Thus, she followed the bell sound and wondered what that bell could be. So she headed deeper and deeper into the forest, blindly following the sound of the bell. She noticed that it was a river and wondered if it was safe to drink, but it is good to her. After that, she tries to plug out her fruit from the tree and went for a sleep. She explains that looks like a good place to sleep, and she slept. When she woke up, she thought why following the sound of this bell always needs her to something good like water or food. In the course of things, she had said it was being about 5 days since she was dumped in the forest. She lost her wig. She has been following the sound of that bell this whole time, if she remember right. Going by the map she saw in the castle, they were summoned to our place called Nardasha, Kingdom of Humans, and to the northeast lies a massive kingdom apparently inhabited by demi-humans. She thought she was a lot closer to that kingdom than the castle by now. She guesses that she will cross that bridge when she gets to it. With how deep she has made it into the forest, she was more worried about running into wild animals sooner or later, and here she was without anything to defend herself. She expressed that some magic know-how sure would come in handy right about now. What if she could lift up her hands and summon fire or something? She did so. The fire came out of her hands and she got scared. She interrogated what the heck was that? That doesn't make sense. Was that magic? She remembered that doesn't that annoying priest say something about that? He stated that gaining magical abilities requires dedicated training and an innate quality of character. That was presides me why they who command this ability are granted title and prestige that was benefiting. Ruri assumed that logically there was little no possible way she just again did the magic, and was shocked that she got nothing. What in the heck would she quit ringing already? So that I should look back, she not uses a giant boar in front of her, and she yielded the bell to pipe down she mean it. What were they freaking out about? Ruri exclaimed, dear God, what she had done to deserve that. The story thus far, where the last left Ruri Midorikawa, the beautiful yet woefully misfortunate heroine, she had become the unwilling accessory to the rite went to summon the living plague known only as Asahi. She was promptly dismissed as a third wheel and dumped in the middle of the forest, where then now find her being run down by a ferocious monster. Ruri was running for her life, exclaiming was he kidding her right now? She is not his dinner ticket. He understands her. But of course he can't. Ruri realizes that this was it, this is where she dies. But suddenly she fall down on the ground and realized that she could swear she passed through some kind of thin film just then. Where was that monster? He was right there, but he can't see her. She expressed that who cares, she was alive, and that was all that matters. Meanwhile, she noticed a house. She doubted was that a house. She prayed to God if he was listening. She appreciated the sudden willingness to help, but this was all starting to seem eerily convenient to her. Therefore, she was invited inside the house and was given delicious food. She cried that she was so happy. The old lady remarked, either cry or eat. Girl, make up her mind. The lady asks over if she wants some meat. Ruri agreed and expressed that she gave her a right scare back there if she know. The old lady conveys that to put herself in her shoes, hearing some kind of ruckus her front yard, and going to say what only to have some girl fall unconscious on her lawn the second she laid eyes on her. Ruri stated that it was because when she turned and saw her there she thought she was about to get slaughtered by some demonic old hag. The old lady screamed now, who was she calling a demonic hag? Of course she was covered in blood, she had just finished butchering her dinner. She just wants to know how some demon hag gets away with having a cutesy name like Chelsea. She told her enough with the demonic hag. She announces that there was no meat for her. Ruri apologizes and articulated she take it back. This is Chelsea, if looks could kill. She'd have a dozen corpses under her belt. What she was a regular old grandma with the heart of gold once you get to know her. Even she took care of her and helped her get back on her feet right after she screamed demon hag in her face and fainted on her front lawn, and as if that were not enough she even whipped her up a nice warm meal. Chelsea remarks that at any rate, she has been through the ringer from what she has heard of it. Granted, she has never had much reason to like Nandarcia in the first place. But to think they had abducted some harmless girls from another world all because of some full prophecy. Ruri interrupted that how did she know about that? She doesn't remember telling her about that. Chelsea conveys that those spirits of Ruri filled her in. Ruri was confused. Chelsea questions what can't she see them? They were practically swarming the place. Suppose that means she can't then. Now if that just isn't the darndest thing. She have got enough mana in her by the looks of it. But the fact that she can't see them must been shit doesn't know how to use it yet. Ruri believed that this man of stuff does it work anything like magic. If it does, then maybe she can use it by picturing it in her head. It works back in the forest. She started to imagine. She was imagining being able to see what was already there. Suddenly, there was so many little spirits around her in the whole room. And then she fell down on the ground from the chair, the little spirit assured if she was okay. Ruri mentioned that she was okay but surprised at the same time and expressed they can talk. Chelsea voiced that she guessing Ruri can see them now. It means her wavelength must be compatible. Ruri questions what were wavelengths. Chelsea informs before they get into all that though, they should clear a little more about this Asahi of hers. She has an overall picture thanks to these little fellows, but it was a bit on the abstract side. Mind filling in the blanks for her. Ruri stated that she was not sure how comfortable she was with spelling her life story to someone she have just met. Chelsea expressed her to suit herself, then she won't mind if she start cleaning up. Ruri stopped her and informed that she will talk. After that she spent some time telling Chelsea her story. She told her about how she was summoned, her treatment in the castle, and then I told her about Asahi and Asahi. She ended with that pretty much covers everything until now. Chelsea stated that she really has it rough. Ruri screeched that she really has. She saw where she was coming from. People only ever sided with Asahi, and they always acted like she was some kind of rival for her attention, and every time she tried to get away she tried back like a bungee cord and started to wonder if she would follow her even if she got married. Chelsea calms her down, expressing she has made her point. It was because she has a warm, comforting wavelength. Ruri expressed that she said something about that before. Chelsea explains that in layman's terms, it referred to the quality of your mana. A person's wavelength has far more practical impact than their mana capacity, she sees. She instructed Ruri to take her little spirit friends there. She has got little representatives of nearly every element hovering around her. That tells him that her wavelength is beloved by spirits of many kinds. It means she has been blessed with the fine wavelength indeed. Ruri expressed that she was saying Ruri couldn't get away from Asahi because of her affinity with her wavelength. Chelsea discloses couldn't see those little ones falling all over themselves to help her if that wasn't the case. They did in the forest do them. That was because they felt best being by her side. Same as her Asahi she expects. Ruri got furious in status, so she was stuck with her. This is what she was saying. She was not going to see her jumping up and down about it. Chelsea declares now that was just a hypothesis mind. But this Asahi of hers, she had been tempted to wager that she had been using magic. Ruri was baffled about magic. Chelsea informs that considering what she has told her about how people act when she was around, she'd say it sound as though they were charmed. She further explains that a charm spell manipulates a person's emotion to evoke favor for its caster, even where that favor never existed in the first place. But a spell wants to work on a person with a higher capacity than its caster. In Ruri's case, not only is the quality of her mana excellent, but she has been blessed with a good amount of it too. In her gas holds water that had explained why her magic never worked on her. Ruri assumed that she was right. That might explain why her fanatics always felt so threatened by her too. But she doesn't think Asahi has it in her to intentionally manipulate anyone. Not the Asahi she knows. She means she was to stud. There was nothing in a head but sunshine and daisies. She doubts she even knows the meaning of the word malicious. Chelsea exclaimed if she say so, might have changed what she's saying in the middle, but that was some mean stuff there. Ruri expressed that, but on the other hand, if she was casting spell like that unconsciously, doesn't that back up the idea that she really is the lady priestess they were looking for? Chelsea conducted that she couldn't tell her one way on the other obviously, but talking in terms of the power alone, that spiritually affinity of horse outclasses some girl who can throw around a chance spell or two by far. That peerless color bit in their prophecy good point to her too. Not many folks in this part with hair or eyes the same color as her. Then again, she would say the same for black hair and black eyes, so her Asahi can't be written of as an imposter either. Ruri realizes that technically even one of her fan club members could fit the bill. Chelsea opens her drawer and took out ink and paper and expressed that at any rate she had said this prophecy business warrants some looking into at very least. Ruri questioned was she writing a letter? Chelsea informs that she was to her grandson. He works at the palace in the Dragon Kingdom. She will give him a rundown on her Asahi and Nadarja prophecy, things of that nature, and have him do a wee bit of digging on his end. She threw the letter into the water, and Ruri exclaimed that she just downed it in the water. Chelsea disclosed that she sent it up to the large that's all, pick her job up of the ground. Ruri narrated that she was really in another world. Chelsea's grandson works for the enormous Dragon Kingdom. That kingdom itself is ruled by Dragon King, a race of creature that can take either human or dragon form at will. That was his also home to another race of creature called Beast Man, which falls somewhere between the man and beast. On the whole, they lump these races together as demi-humans. Humans don't take a real kind eye towards them, though. Discrimination was a real problem. Ruri continued that since Nadarja is populated entirely by humans, it was a nationwide epidemic. But then they have got the Dragon Kingdom, where humans and demi-humans coexist on equal terms. When she puts it that way, this Dragon King sounds like he has his head on straight. Ruri interrogated does she think the Dragon King would know a way to send her home. Chelsea responded that she apologizes, but there was no such thing. Ruri exclaimed she can't really be sure of that, maybe somebody else. Chelsea discloses that they might not wind up here the same way as her, but they do get her kind around these parts from time to time. Granted, kidnapping doesn't usually figure into it like it did for her. But not a single one of them managed to find a way back to the world they came from. Falling was the easy part. But she can't climb back up without throwing away the form she came with. That was what one of those other worlders said a long time ago. She remarked that as long as she lives in that world, there was no way back to her. It was not fair, but that was the way it works. At the night in her bed thinking no way back, that priest jerk told her the same thing, didn't him? She guessed some part of her did it, accepted it, just clinging to the last shred of hope she had left. What was next? She thought it was a better question. Why should she even have to think about this? It wasn't even her fault. She explained that she had been kidnapped and ranked up to a different world, arrested on thoroughly trumped-up charges, and chased through a forest by terrifying wild animal. Where was her justice in all of this? She continued if this was anyone's fault, it was that ditz Asahi with her head full of sunshine and daisies, along with that fan club and her Prince Charming, sending her up to die in some foreign world without any to her name, and should not forget the king and his priests. The more she thinks about it, the more madder she gets. She yelled that she was not crying herself to sleep over this. If she can't get home, then she at least needs something to drag her out of this funk. Plus, little something extra for emotional damages. Ruri-chan was a resilient girl indeed. And so it was morning. Ruri went to Chelsea stating that she swears she will do whatever she tells her to. Cooking, cleaning, laundries, just name it. In exchange, please let her stay with Chelsea and teach her everything she needs to know about that world she was begging her. Chelsea agreed and remarked that no skin of her nose. Ruri thought that was fast. Was she sure? Not to hurt her case or anything. How does she know she can trust her? She is really know her, she was not even from that world. Chelsea, this closes that little late to be worrying about that, doesn't she think? She has already damn near eaten her out of house and home. Besides, it was just little old her in this big old house. She could use a little more spice in her life. The spirits would turn their nose at her for the rest of the eternity if she tried kicking their golden child out into the cold anyhow. Ruri was extremely happy and thanked the spirits, and mentioned that she was really a good person. Even though she looked like a cantankerous old hag, Chelsea explained that she changed her mind. She is out of here. She thinks she didn't hear that. Although she instructed her to go on, run along and wash her face, it was almost time for breakfast. Ruri looked extremely happy. Chelsea back to the kitchen and notices that there was a reply Joshua sure was quick this time, and as she was reading the reply she realized this was a right mess. Life here in the woods was great. The day starts when the rises. As she woke up, she felt that this was so refreshing. It has been a few days since Chelsea took her in, and she started living there, and she was enjoying every day, comfortable and happy as can be. At first she thought in order to live comfortably and to carry out her revenge, she had to master her magical powers as soon as possible. Ruri requested teacher Chelsea to teach her how to use magic. She was very eager to learn. Chelsea remarked, "All right, then she can start by imagining what she wants to do in her mind." Ruri agrees. Chelsea stated, "Now ask the fairies to do it for her." That was literally all there is to it. Ruri exclaims, "That's a face that says, isn't that a little too easy?" Chelsea informed that it was actually really difficult. She will have her know. Although it sounds easy, there is no guarantee that it will work. Whether it works or not depends on the person's wavelength and amount of magical powers. She conveys that, for example, even if she is simply trying to conjure water, if she is incompatible with the water spirits, they will not lend her their powers. She added that even if someone doesn't have very strong magic powers, if the wavelength matches the fairy, then that can compensate. Basically, the most important thing is to be liked by fairies. She definitely was going to need some training. Ruri stated that it would seem she still has a long way to go until she can get her revenge. She will do her best to practice magic so that she can get her revenge. And then suddenly one day, Chelsea requested to Ruri if she can talk to her for a second. What on earth was she doing? Ruri responded that she was just taking a bath. As a Japanese person, the one thing she can't give up on is soaking in the bathtub. She feels so refreshed. Chelsea remarked that she thought she heard her building something since this morning. Ruri exclaimed that she conjured the hot water so she didn't use any fire magic this time. Chelsea stated that she better not use fire magic after what happened last time. She almost burned the house down. Though leaving that aside for now, she has something she needs to ask of her. Ruri remarked, "What was it?" Chelsea discloses that she knows that many bad things happened to her in Nadarsha. Does she by chance feel resentment against that country? Ruri thought, resentment against Nadarsha? All the bad memories were hit. Ruri declared that let's just say that when she takes her revenge, they will be her first target. Chelsea interrogated that when she says revenge, what exactly was she planning to do to them? Ruri yelled that mainly she wants to make them cry, and then wants to make them bow down to her like Asahi, the priest, the king, the prince, her classmates, and all the soldiers who hurt her. Then she wants to line them all up and punch them right in the face. Chelsea stated that was all she wants to do. Ruri screamed she doesn't think it was enough, but Chelsea thought it was not. Ruri expressed that she has a point after all. They tried to get her killed in the woods. Maybe she should roundhouse kick them as well, or maybe she should shave their heads and make them walk around the town in shame. Listening to her idea of revenge, Chelsea slammed her hand to her face and sighs. Ruri expressed that at least she understands that her revenge is fairly harmless, but she thinks that it was a pretty good plan though. Chelsea stated that she thought by revenge she meant torturing someone or destroying the whole country, or maybe publicly execute the king by hanging or something. Ruri thought that it was just going way too far. Chelsea informs if that was what she thinks, then she has a request for her actually. The people of Nadarja have recently become unable to use magic. No matter how much they call out to the fairies, they won't respond at all. Spirits expressed that they were bullying Ruri. They needed punishment because Ruri said revenge. They hate who bully Ruri, they need to be punished. Chelsea responded that she suspected as much. Actually, the fairies stopped responding the same day she got exiled to the forest. It was just a hunch, but it seems like she was correct. Ruri questioned that they did that just because she said she wanted revenge. Chelsea responded yes. Ruri expressed that in other words, the fairies are currently on strike because of her. Chelsea informed that actually, in this world, not being able to use magic was a matter of life and death. She thinks Ruri already knows this, but the power of the fairies is vital to everyday life there. In Nadarja, only a handful of people, such as priests, can properly use magic. Because those few people can't use their powers anymore, the country was currently in chaos. If her revenge plan wasn't to destroy the whole country, would she mind telling the fairies to stop their strike? Ruri counters the fairies, well, that goes without saying. She said that she wanted revenge, but she doesn't mean she wanted to destroy the whole country. A country was falling into chaos because they can't use magic. She would never have guessed, so would they please listen to her and stop their strike? The fairies responded, what? Why? Ruri exclaimed, what do they mean, why? Fairies questioned why? Ruri wants revenge, right? Ruri exclaimed that she knows she said that, but that was her problem, so she wants to solve it with her own power. So please don't try to get revenge for her anymore. The fairies started crying and mentioned that they were a bother to Ruri. Ruri yelled, listing everyone, don't look at her with tears in their eyes. That was not true. She was very grateful that they have been trying to help her. She will be counting on them again when the time comes. She means she might ask for their help again maybe. So please don't help her just yet. The fairies mentioned that they understand. Chelsea stated let her give Ruri a piece of advice. She probably learned from this matter that if anything happens to her, the fairies will respond to it. In the future, she will probably meet the people who want to take advantage of her powers. From now on, she will do her best to teach Ruri everything she knows. Then she won't be taken advantage of. She will be able to make her own informed decisions and decide for herself what she thinks is right and wrong. Ruri inquired Chelsea, was it really all right to say these things to her? She still doesn't know anything about this world she knows. Wouldn't this be a good opportunity for her to become that someone and abuse her powers? Chelsea laughed and remarked that no way, that was way too much work. After that day, Chelsea taught her many things about this world. She taught her to gather the dust with the wind magic, then burn it. Ruri realized that she doesn't even need a broom. Chelsea taught her that she can use purification magic to clean her clothes. She can clean her body as well. Also, it turns out the beast that chased her through the forest was actually not trying to attack her at all. He found her magic wavelength very comfortable and had been watching over her. After a while, he couldn't start watching from the shadows anymore and wanted to introduce himself. After he realized he accidentally scared her, he felt really bad. He wanted to apologize and clarify that it wasn't his intention. So the other day he came to give her the wig she dropped in the forest before. Ruri interrogated why isn't he coming inside the garden. Chelsea answered her she has put a magic barrier around the house, so he can't actually come in. Ruri again questioned was she sure he won't attack. The fairy answered back he won't attack her, he was protecting her all this time. According to the fairies, the beast has secretly been looking out for her all the times caring for other dangerous creatures. Ruri stated wouldn't those guys just have solved the misunderstanding then? So in the end, there's all the misunderstanding and Chelsea gave him permission to cross her magic barrier. So basically, in this new and strange world, she has somehow managed to get herself a very large gift, now named Kotaru. Later on, she went to the forest and picked up a mushroom and questioned what that was. Fairies responded it was a poisonous mushroom. She picked another one and questioned the same, but about those one. The fairies answered back it was yummy, but when she eats it, her eye will start twitching. Ruri stated, "Doesn't that mean it was poisonous?" The fairies expressed that it was fun if she stuffed her cheeks with this one. This one was sweet. The various started gathering things. Ruri stated one at a time put them all in the basket. She brought a basket full of vegetables and other stuff to Chelsea. Chelsea stayed there. She has brought back quite the collection. She has been at it again. Ruri conveys that she said she usually saw this kind of stuff at the market, so she got everybody together to go foraging. What does she think? Did they find some nice stuff? Chelsea expressed that she has to teach her the monetary value of these kinds of items. Otherwise, who knows what will happen in the future? These herbs and fruits are extremely rare. Putting all these things on the market at once would cause the market prices to collapse. Ruri exclaimed, "No way." She had no idea these herbs and fruits were all rare. The fairies brought them to her. Chelsea mentioned, "Well, it can't be helped since she didn't know. Let's bring out half of them to the market this time." Ruri felt that it was too bad. Then should they do something with the rest before it goes bad? Chelsea started to throw the rest of them, but they noticed something strange. Ruri questioned what was that. Chelsea informs that she just opened the dimensional space. Ruri was confused about the dimensional space and inquired how did she do that? Chelsea stated so there was no such thing in her world. This was what they call a dimensional space. If she has magic powers, this was fairly easy to use. Even children can do it. Chelsea conveyed that this was a dimensional space which connects their world to the world of the Fairy of Time. Items placed in these places do not experience the flow of time. In other words, the herbs and food found go bad when they are in there. Ruri exclaimed that it was kind of like a freezer. Chelsea was puzzled hearing that. Ruri asked Chelsea if she would do it as well. Chelsea gave her to try, and it really worked. Ruri explained she can really do all kinds of things with magic, but she can't see what was inside. Chelsea stated would she take this and notice is that she has her head inside the dimensional space and talk her out and screamed what on earth was she doing? Ruri expressed what was she doing all of a sudden. Chelsea yelled that it was her line. Ruri exclaimed that she was just one drink what it looked like inside. Chelsea stated that even an idiot would know not to just stick their head inside. But Ruri informed her inside is quite large. She knows it was very bright. The fairies remark that it was all right. She says it was fine to go inside. Ruri questioned who was she. The fairy answers if she goes inside she will see. Ruri exclaimed well if the fairy says it was all right then she guesses she will take their word for it. They both went inside and they were amazed. Ruri noticed the walls, the ceiling, they were all white, and where was this wind coming from? But it was all empty. There was no one there who was the one that called her in there. And all the fairies were gone. Suddenly a voice came skating that the one who called her was her. As they both looked behind them, there was a beautiful lady in front of them, and they were shocked seeing her. As they met, the beautiful fairy Ruri questioned her. Who was she? Ruri thought she was a ghost and ran away, but Chelsea knew it was a fairy. After a while, Ruri came and apologized to her, as she was very scared of bugs and ghosts. So that was not what she meant. She meant she didn't think she were a fairy. The fairy expressed that Social mistook her for a ghost. Ruri explained that she had never seen a big fairy before compared to the small ones. Chelsea informed that a fairy's appearance changes according to the amount of power they hold. The fairies she usually saw were of lower rank. Ruri, leaving that matter aside, just like rumored, her magic power is very strong. Not many people would be able to create dimensional space as large as this one. She heard the other fairies speak of her and her powers, so she really wanted to speak to her. The fairy added, even though she wanted to meet her really badly, she wasn't able to leave. There she was so happy she stopped by. Ruri interrogated, how come she couldn't come see her? Can't she leave this place? Right now this place was connected to the outside world through the portal she made. Does she want to go with her? The fairy thanked her and mentioned that for her it was impossible since she was the Fairy of Time. Chelsea exclaimed, the Fairy of Time. Ruri asked of her Chelsea. Why was she shouting so suddenly? She really startled her. Chelsea explained that she had been able to keep her voice down in the situation. She is a Fairy of Time she knows from the legends. She mentions Ruri knows of the legends. According to the legends, never show herself in front of people. She was rumored to be nothing but a myth. Ruri asked over the fairy, so since she was the Fairy of Time, was she able to control time itself? Like stopping or reversing the flow of time, or being able to see what the world will look like 10 years from now? The fairy expressed, since it takes an incredible amount of magical power to control time, there was simply not enough magical power in the whole world to do these things. Ruri mentioned, is that so, but doesn't time still inhere? The fairy explained, This space is her domination. This place exists in a different dimension, so it was not tied to the flow of the time in her world. That is why everything placed here will stay in the same condition unaffected by her flow of time. Ruri went into a thought that it would mean. Chelsea warned Ruri, "Be careful and don't forget what she told her before." Ruri expressed that she was not a child, she knows. She doesn't have to say it twice. Chelsea remarked that she was not sure about that. It was the town market from Chelsea's house. It was apparently a 5-day walk. Chelsea removed that horse carriage. She doesn't use such a thing. Has she ever seen a horse in this area? Ruri exclaimed, then how did they get there? Does she have any apparition spell or something? What was she on about? Chelsea ordered her to hurry and climb up or she will leave her behind. Chelsea has transformed into her dragon form. They ended up flying to the market, her riding on her back. Ruri stated that so she was a dragon all along. Chelsea exclaimed that she only noticed now. They reached the market in just a couple of hours. Chelsea gives her the wig. Ruri noticed that it was her old wig. Chelsea informed since her hair color was so rare there, when they are inside the town, she has to wear it at all times. She might get abducted by slave traders otherwise, so don't take it off. Ruri questioned they have slavery there. Chelsea countered not in the Dragon Kingdom, but there are quite a few countries in which slavery is legal. So please be aware of her surroundings, especially around humans. Ruri questions especially around humans. Chelsea informs yes, humans. She sighs and remarked take a look around, she has so many fairies all around her. That means the only people who would try to attack her are either people without magic powers who can't see the fairies, or people with the death wish. No one else would be dumb enough to try anything. Ruri expressed that was what Chelsea told her, so she put the big on. However, somehow she was still being really stared at. Maybe her wing was sleeping of, or maybe the dress Chelsea gave her was super outdated. A small child in the crowd yelled, "Mom, look, that lady over there has so many fairies around her." Ruri remembered that Chelsea told her she was extraordinarily terraced by the fairies. She asked over Chelsea if she was perhaps a rare specimen there. Chelsea exclaimed something like that. Ruri claimed that all she ever wanted was just to be normal though, but she can't just get rid of these guys either, and as a result, a huge crowd gathered around her for buying herbs. One man stated these herbs did she pick them herself. The other man stated he will take this one, and everyone was shouting to buy things. Ruri got frustrated and exclaimed that she can't do this, there were too many people, she can't keep up with it all. She requested Chelsea, would she help her wrap this up? Chelsea responded that won't do, she has to be the one to do it. Meanwhile, a lady came questioning Ruri, what do these herbs do? Ruri didn't know the answer and called Chelsea for help. Chelsea explained to her that it was cough medicine, dry it, grind it into powder, and then drink it with some hot water. Ruri stated that she was the one with the knowledge. The lady asked again, then what about this one? Ruri again called Chelsea for help. Chelsea informed her that it was for stomach ache, steam it then rub it on her belly. Ruri claimed like she said she was the one with the knowledge, and it kept going on. Some asked for herbs, some asked for paying money, and some asked for shaking hand. Somehow these were situations that kept happening, and eventually everything was sold out. Ruri expressed that she was exhausted. The fairies praised her that she did a good job, she did her best. Ruri asked, but why were they also focused on her? Chelsea replied that it was because she was so loved by fairies. She told her that someone being disliked by the fairies was unusual. By buying something she picked or touching something she has touched, people believe that they too can receive some of the powers of the fairies. Ruri interrogated, was that possible? Can they really receive the fairies' powers? Chelsea explained not at all. It was a mental thing. Since the world here revolves around the powers of the fairies are seen as symbols of power, and the faith in them is strong. To the demi-humans who can see the fairies, her existence is something very precious, so everyone wants to interact with her even if it's just a little. Ruri believed since she came to that world Chelsea has taught her so much, and now she's starting to feel like she understands this world a little better. Everyone wants to be with her. People would ask her was she leaving so soon, come to have a look at their shops and give her things without money and let her try delicious things. Ruri was worried and considered Chelsea, but Chelsea stated just take what they give her. Ruri was confused as she didn't pay for any of it, but Chelsea stated that it was fine. Chelsea explained to Ruri that places where fairies gather tend to be forests. They produce better crops and face fewer natural disasters. So as she visits the town again, the fairies will gather and the land will become more prosperous. Ruri guessed in her past world they also prayed to deities, they just called them gods instead. But if the gods were actually visible with the naked eye, She would probably, just like the people of this world, worship and treat them like a very precious existence. Ruri thought she just hoped that she won't get mixed up into any trouble. They both return to the home, and Ruri questions Chelsea, the cherished one. What does that mean? Chelsea declares, to put it simply, the cherished one was a title given to the people who are extraordinarily loved by the fairies just like her. She knows she has been staying here for a while now. She used to talk about her revenge plan, but nothing has really happened. Doesn't she think that it was time for her to decide how she wants to live in this world? Ruri remarked she means she was the cherished one. Chelsea put forward, though she doesn't really care either way, normally people marked as cherished ones are put under the protection of the country they were born in, since if one is angered, the fairies won't stay to come about it. In the past, there has been an incident where the anger of the cherished one led to the destruction of nations, so cherished ones often require special attention and surveillance. She added that basically she can choose to get protection from any country she wants. They will treat her well since she will bring lots of fairies, and the land will prosper. Basically, it was very profitable to have a cherished one in the countries, so she can go wherever she wishes. Chelsea informs her that she has not reported her existing to any country yet. Ruri stated how come. Chelsea counters because she was not a person from that world, and since she like a proper understanding of how this world was all the stock of things like protection and cherished too early confusing. She thought it would be better to wait until she were a little more knowledgeable and come and then ask what she wanted to do. She will be able to make her own informed decisions and decide for herself what she thinks is right and wrong. Ruri was so happy that she tightly hugged Chelsea, and Chelsea screams for her to stop it. She was such a pain. After a while, Ruri called out for Lydia from the dimensional space as she baked some cookies for her. The fairy appeared and exclaimed that she decided to stop by again. She was so happy. Ruri noticed, does the number of things in here increase again? The fairy questioned her, think so. Ruri expressed she can't even see the table anymore. The fairy stated that that was alright since Ruri's dimensional space was very large. It doesn't matter. Dewey expressed that was not the problem here. One day, when she visited the dimensional space, she was just planning on bringing the Fairy of Time some souvenirs, but once she climbed inside the portal, something amazing had happened to her dimensional space. Terra remarked she really came back. She was so happy. Ruri stated sorry to spoil her happy greeting, but what was that? The fairy mentioned she thought would want these social brought them over. Ruri interrogated from where? Fairy informs her from other people's spaces, of course. Ruri exclaimed that, in other words, a theft. While she was very happy that she wanted to bring her a gift, she can't accept these things taken from others. The fairy expressed if that was what she was worried about, then rest assured shown it took things from spaces long since abandoned. According to her, every one-dimensional space manifests like different doors in a long corridor. Since she was the guardian of this dimension, she was able to enter anyone's spaces as she wants to. While the owner is still alive, the door is lit up, and doors to spaces without living owners are dark. The fairy expressed all these items come from spaces without living owners. While it was possible to erase the items along with the original space, she had rather see use them. Ruri voiced the spaces that are and being used gets erased. The fairy reverts back that yes, otherwise doors will just increase indefinitely. Ruri stated is that so, well then maybe she will just take the ones she can use. The fairy exclaimed really that's great. Then she will also move all the items from her previous contractor to Ruri's space. Her previous contractor used to tell her to gather all used full items she could find in abandoned places and bring to him. Ruri was confused about the contract. The fairy explains to her that she made a contract with her last time after she left since it took such a liking to her. Ruri expressed that she guessed that was fine. So this contract, what does it entail? The fairy articulated to put it simply, a fairy makes a contract with someone to whom they want to provide power and support. Ruri voiced alright then. She requested to let her know her name. Just calling her she or the Fairy of Time seems a little impersonal. The fairy introduced herself as Lydia. Ruri expressed it was nice to meet her. So that's how her space was filled with lots of unexpected and rare treasures, and it got into this messy state. Therefore, Lydia remarks that the cookies were delicious. Ruri exclaimed really happy to hear that. Then she will make them for her again. She found a bangle and thought it was so pretty and asks over was this also item from the old contractor. In this scene, Lydia expressed that the cookies are all gone. Ruri believed that she was so fast. When she went back and told Chelsea about what had happened, she looked a little apprehensive. and when she got to the part about the contract with the Fairy of Time, it looked like her soul left her body for a second. After a long day, she was finally laying down on a bed thinking that there was still so much she doesn't know about this world. Her being the cherished one, different kingdoms, and their rules of protection. Although Chelsea told her she would wait for her until she has decided what she wants to do. Even if she was to move to another kingdom, she wouldn't know what to do there. The bracelet, she accidentally brought it back with her. That night, she had a strange dream. She went to Chelsea and apologized to her as she was always messing things up. Chelsea remarked about what she told her earlier. She was thinking about what she should do next. She would like to send her to the royal capital for an errand. Ruri was puzzled about an errand. Chelsea mentioned her son asked her to send him some medicinal herbs. She would like her to deliver them for her. This way she gets to see some more of the kingdom and experience another part of this world. After she is more experienced, she can make an informed decision on what to do next. Ruri felt so it was just an errand. She remarked that then she will travel to the royal capital and have a look around the kingdom, but in the end, if she still wants to live in the forest with you, then would she stay here? Chelsea agreed and stated she is welcome back here any time, so in the end it was decided that she was going to travel to the capital. Chelsea instructed her when she is in the capital she can stay at her son's house. Ruri asks over her son's house. Chelsea informed her he works for the Dragon King, so he lives in the capital. Ruri interrogated, wouldn't that make him a person of incredibly high status? Chelsea answered, kind of. Well, she sent him a letter already, so when she reaches the capital, go meet him at his place. Chelsea ordered her to go to bed already, she is leaving tomorrow. Ruri obeys her. Ruri thought the Dragon Kingdom. She wonders what the Dragon King is like. In this scene, there was a big castle near the water shore and tons of wooden slabs. A man standing there questions what was all this, and then burn those slabs. Another man responds did as the majestic and sees it was the portraits of eligible young women for half today. He could look through them for someone. The group of men yelled what he was doing. Him stayed up all night to select those girls for him. The boy remarked he should have done his actual job instead. He ordered Klaus to bring him his work documents. Klaus went out mentioning right away Majesty. The boy's status he is still not giving up. The man mentions it was their duty as the king's aides to find him or suitable bride. One man expressed, and already at this point, he think it would simply be better if the Majesty just found a woman he likened down and brought her back with him. Since now the unlucky girl Ruri was summoned to another world against her will. Stuff happened, she got exiled and left in the forest to die. She was saved by a witch called Chelsea who lives in the forest, and Ruri swore revenge on those who wrong her. However, she has yet to take her revenge. An instant she was living a happy and peaceful life in the forest. But she cannot live that way forever, and so she decided to go to the capital of the Dragon Kingdom. And at this moment in the royal capital, Ruri was currently being chased by ruffians. Ruri thought how she does and up like that. She means she knows why, but this was bad. They were chasing her to an area with fewer people, but that was not her biggest problem there. The fairies, they seemed like they were about to do something terrible to those men. A couple hours later, Ruri believed as expected of the royal capital. It was amazing. The streets are so wide, and there are so many people. Suddenly, fairies come in front of her, and she held that shit, told them not to do that. Doesn't she tell them to stay hidden? She can't walk around with the fairies surrounding her, so she made a plan. She gathered everyone and ordered them to team up in pairs. She let them play rock, paper, and scissor, and gather them inside her clog. She brought along only the fairies who won, and she told the other various to follow her hair letter. They begin by going to the weapon shop that Chelsea recommended. She thought it was over there. Even though Chelsea was being taken care of her until now, she still needs to make some money. Lydia had allowed her to sell the items. She took spear. Maybe she can sell that spear. Lydia expressed she should do that. She asks over was she sure she doesn't want anything else. Ruri stated maybe, but she thinks this was enough for now. So yeah, that was what happened. The old man inspected the spear and exclaimed it was amazing. He remarked that he was sorry, but he can't sell something like that in his shop. Ruri inquires why, even though she brought the one that seemed most useful. The man exclaimed that he really wanted to help her since she was a friend of Chelsea, but... So the man expressed that this item was singularly valuable. He doesn't have enough money to buy it from her. Ruri exclaimed, really? The man mentioned that this was a really good spear. Where did she get her hands on it? He expressed now he understands, but as it was the mischief of the fairy. Ruri was confused about the mystery of the fairy. The man explained to her that when things that aren't someone suddenly appear in third-dimensional space, it could be all kinds of things, everything from trash to national treasures. Those items come from people who have died long ago, since their things sometimes show up in other people's spaces. It was a rumor that it was fairies doing. That reminds Rule when Fairy stated that she can put the things she doesn't want in here. Ruri has questioned her where was that total connected to. But she has no idea. Now Ruri knows, so that's what it was. The man asks over, well then should they get going? Ruri exclaimed, go where? The man informs to the shop that will buy the spear. But Ruri asked him over, doesn't he say it was impossible to buy? The man exclaimed he said it was impossible for him to buy. In other words, they should go sell it to a place with a lot of money to spare. Since Chelsea asks this of him, he won't give up until the spear is sold. So then, the shopkeeper and she went to the largest shopping district in town. It was a fierce negotiation. The shopkeeper remarked if that was his final offer, he'll just take it to another store. The man exclaimed, all right, then he will take it. The shopkeeper yelled that's what he was talking about. The shopkeeper articulated this was for her, the young lady. Ruri inquires shouldn't he get a fee or something. The man expresses not to worry about it. He was content with the feeling of victory. And that is how she suddenly came into the position of a small fortune. Suddenly 2 men surrounded her, saying now, why doesn't she just be a nice girl and hand over that cash of hers? So that is what happened. That also why she was currently being chased by those thugs. The men were shouting this was not good at all. The fairies articulated that they should exterminate them. But Ruri voiced don't say such disturbing stuff in a cute voice. The fairies started to utter that they should destroy them, make them wish they were never born. But Ruri screamed absolutely not. Where did they even learn these things? But the fairies escaped from Ruri, and Ruri believed that this was much worse than she thought. In this, the fairies were about to make the thugs suffer. But Ruri expressed that she has to stop this, otherwise they will kill them. She has to do something quick, think of something. She remembered the fairy once saved her when she was in a pinch. She can always use these. Ruri questioned her. What were these? Could it be this something super dangerous? Lydia explained to her that they were not lethal. She could throw them at her enemies, then hold her breath. She took out those little balls and expressed that she had a bad feeling about this, but here goes nothing. She threw them towards the men. There was a huge blast with a lot of smoke. She covered herself as it smelled super gross. She couldn't help but feel bad for those guys. Also, all the fairies are gone as well. She checked the men and explained they are not dead, are they? And suddenly someone came covering himself all over. She questioned who was there. The man responded that he just saw a girl being chased by thugs, got worried, and so he followed. He inquired if she was all right. Ruri articulated he was thinking of coming to her aid. The man reverts back. He supposed it was not needed. She did a splendid job by herself. She thanked him, but he noticed her hair. They both were in a weird situation. Even though he said he wanted to help her, she was carefree and accidentally showed her hair. And looking closely, isn't that person super suspicious? He has got a sword, was dressed all in black, and can't see anything but his eyes. The man interrogated what was her name. Ruri screeched that she was very busy, so she will be going now, and ran away from there. She reached the main market and was relaxed, finally made it back to a state with a lot of people. She got away safely this time, however there was such a large crowd earlier, there might have been more thugs that saw her. Then she made her way to Chelsea's son's house and tried not to blend in as much as possible while getting there. For blending in, she had got an idea. Meanwhile, in the castle, the king has returned back. Klaus welcomed him back and interrogated where did he go today. The king answered just out. Klaus, that majesty, does him perhaps go wandering downtown? If he were going downtown, he could at least have found a girl or two to bring back with him. The old man screamed out doesn't tell he actually found a girl. The king expressed no that was, they were wrong, it was not like he wanted to have her as a companion, he would just like to speak to her some more. They all got very happy and started a wall of questions, it was a joyous occasion. And where was the girl now? What tribe is she from? How strong are her magic powers, what she is like? The king declares everyone to clam down, but they refuse as it was not the time to be calm. They again question who was she, but the king responded that he doesn't know. She was being chased by thugs, so he thought he had to step in to help, but she ran away when he asked for her name, so he doesn't know who she was. The only thing he knew was that her hair was platinum blonde. It was beautiful. But wait, it doesn't mean it was not. The men shouted to leave it to them. He ordered everyone to mobilize the Dragon Knights and search for His Majesty's future bride. Have them search for girls with platinum blonde hair. Therefore, Ruri sneezed there. The fairies inquired if she has a cold. Ruri expressed she doesn't think so, maybe someone's gossiping about her. From now on, the future will surely be filled with many difficulties. The other day, he received a letter from her mother who lives far away in the forest, which reached to Klaus. She has sent over a girl named Ruri with his medicinal herbs. Please look after her for a while. Klaus expressed that it was very rare for her mother to ask him a favor, and she was never asked for something like that. A couple of days later, a white cat and a fairy were standing in front of his house. The fairy and the cat were a very peculiar combination. Klaus questions them, can you help then with something? Ruri responded that Chelsea has sent her and her name was Ruri. Furthermore, Ruri was sitting in the Klaus's house thinking that he sure was taking his time. The fairy asks her over will she keep being a cat. Ruri stated that yes, since she was not sure when Klaus will return. Since he only saw her in her cat form earlier, she will stay this way for now. Wouldn't he be surprised if he came home and an unknown person was sitting in his living room? She was summoned to another world, exiled, and taken care of by a lady named Chelsea. Klaus was Chelsea's son. Apparently he has quite a high position in the court of the Dragon King. Ruri exclaimed she wondered why he was looking so angry. Klaus expressed that the letter his mother had her deliver thank you for bringing it to him. Ruri stated that she was happy that it was delivered properly. Klaus mentioned that as this letter she wrote that she was a cherished one loved by the fairies. Was this fairy the only one with her? Ruri exclaimed that no, but she thought it would be best not to make a spectacle in the middle of the city, so she had them stay away from her today. Klaus remarked, is that so? Ruri requested him should she call the rest over. Klaus allowed her to do so. Ruri announced to everyone that he said it was fine, so please come inside, and the dozen of the fairies came inside the house. Klaus exclaimed how come there was even more of them now. The fairies, when went inside the house, started making a huge chaos, and Klaus, post getting frustrated, he commanded everyone that they were too many. He screamed at them to stop, and there was complete silence. Ruri expressed so that was how it was, since they are so many, would he mind if she asked some of them to leave? He agreed and remarks that now he understands what his mother meant. Now she was extraordinary, loved by the fairies. However, there was no way he can look after her in his house. Ruri questions how come. Klaus explains that his mother has probably told her this, but many people like her are very rare and highly valuable and sought after by many kingdoms. Basically, the security there in his residence was insufficient to house a person of her importance, so he would like for her to stay somewhere with better security. Actually, the best place for her to stay in would be the castle. Ruri articulated not to worry about her. There was no need to go that far, but Klaus voiced that no, it was the least he can do. They just need to get permission from His Majesty. He will go there at once, and he will be right back. Please don't leave that room until he returns. As Ruri was stating that she just wants to say she was really human. He left and slammed the door, so ended up waiting for Klaus to return. She started to think about the castle security, but Klaus's place already looks quite safe, so she wondered what the castle was like. Therefore, Klaus reached the palace and slammed the door. The king asked him over what was going on. He was being so noisy. Klaus expressed that he would like to request a private audience, but the king questioned him what was the matter. This wasn't like him. What on earth was going on? Klaus responded that a cherished one has appeared. The king was shocked and shouted what he says. A cherished one? Was he sure? Klaus confirmed that there was no mistake. The king further questioned that from what race? Klaus stated it was a cat. The man exclaimed a cat person. Then it was probably not a very powerful cherished one. But Klaus informed to clarify he doesn't mean a dummy human, he meant it was just a normal cat. Frankly, he thought Ruri would be a human. In the letter it was mentioned that if he was reading this letter, it means that he had already met with Ruri. Ruri is a cherished one, so be very careful not to cause her any harm anyway. Klaus thought that Chelsea sent her. How did Chelsea manage to run into a cherished one, he wondered? She did not say, however, she did write that the cherished one doesn't know much about how this world works. The king stated all right, they will meet her first, and then think of what to do next. But the man expressed that wasn't it a good thing that she doesn't know how this world works? This way they can control her much easier. Another man stated that he had got a point. Suddenly the king felt something, and asked what was that. The man responded he got sudden chills. The king stated so he felt it too. What was going on? Klaus articulated that it was the window. They noticed fairies coming towards them. The fairies expressed that they have come to give them a warning. Klaus mentioned a warning. He requested the king to get behind him. The fairies gave them a warning that first, they must not hurt Ruri in any way. The king mentioned so this was about the cherished one. Their cute voices are super distracting. The fairies continued if they hold her, they will kill them very slow and painfully. But the king exclaimed that they were saying really scary stuff, but they still look super adorable. The man exclaimed, warning them. He had never heard of fairies warning like this before. Then the fairies came to warning number 2, that they must not ignore Ruri's wishes. If they do, they will be punished. The king raised his hand and stated that he had a question. That meant it was fine if they are in her case and persuade her to come to an agreement. Was that correct? The fairies discussed the matter and came to the conclusion that if Ruri allows it, it was fine, but forcing her was not allowed. She must consent by her own free will. The king thanked them for their reply, and the fairies moved to their warning number 3, that if they make foes, they will destroy them using fire, water, magic, and basically that was all. Now they have been warned. They won't forgive them if they don't stick to the rules, and the fairies went back. After that, the king questioned Klaus, can the cherished one control her emotions well? If she was unpredictable or childish and throws tantrums, the future doesn't look too good. Klaus articulated that well when he spoke to her. She was very calm and polite. She even scolded the fairies at one point, and they seemed to listen to her. But the man claimed that never before had he heard of fairies flying around threatening people. The cherished one must truly have extraordinary powers. This means the benefit of housing the cherished one here will probably be great, but it was also risky. The king stated that at least they were lucky that the cherished one didn't appear in Nadarja. And so Klaus went back to his house and told Ruri that the Dragon King really wanted to meet her. It would be honored to have her stay in the castle, and he asked her if he could accompany her there. Ruri thought that it was just her, or has his speech become more polite? If she goes to the castle, what should she do once she was there? Will she be asked to perform certain tasks or something? Klaus stated that no, she will be free to do whatever she pleases. The only thing that will change was where she lives. Her movement will not be restricted in any capacity. Ruri thought he was polite again. Although she dislikes the stiffness and formality of it all, it seems her freedom will not be limited, and she can't be too selfish in these matters. As she understood, she will go with him. She decided to move into the castle. Meanwhile, the fairies came back too. Ruri questioned them. Did they go somewhere special? Fairies mentioned that Lydia asked them to go on an errand. Ruri again questioned them. Lydia did. The fairies expressed that yes, she asked them to go give them hell, and they did their best. Ruri thought where Lydia learns that language. But wait, give help to whom exactly? Further, Klaus mentioned that the carriage was here to pick them up. In the carriage on their way to the castle, she made small talk with Klaus, and she assumed that Klaus was a nice person. She mentioned that she has to tell him about the cat thing. She wanted to say something, but Klaus interrupted her and stated that she knew he had to say he was very relieved that she was not a human. Ruri got puzzled up. She questioned if she was human, would it be bad? Klaus explained to her that humans are incredibly greedy and they easily succumb to the temptation of power. Just the thought of humans having her level of magical powers was truly terrifying. Ruri believed that she was glad that she was still in cat form. If she was in her normal form, she was sure her face would be stiff, and she wouldn't be able to say anything. It was best if she stayed a cat for a little longer. And like that, with mixed feelings and in the cat form, she went to meet the Dragon King. Klaus informed her that this was Majesty's room. Is she ready? Ruri expressed that she just became a little nervous. Klaus articulated, well then, they should go inside and open the giant door. Klaus remarked that Majesty he had brought the cherished one. As they reached the Majesty's room, Klaus introduced that Ruri. This was the Dragon King. Ruri was mesmerized and thought that he was super handsome. Since her mom was a model, she was pretty used to meeting really beautiful men and women. But even so, this guy was something else. His hair was black like a raven's feathers. His eyes are stunning shade of green. They look so deep like she could drown in them. She feels like she has seen those eyes before. Cherished ones, they sometime appear in this world bringing prosperity, but also confusion and destruction. Historically, countries usually went to war to possess cherished one for themselves, but if the cherished ones accidentally got injured as a result of the conflict, the fairies retaliated in anger, sometimes destroying entire kingdoms. This pattern was repeated many, many times. Eventually, the 4 largest nations in the region came to an agreement to stop fighting over cherished ones. They must have forcing them to do out binding and respect their decisions. The cherished ones should be free to live their life however they like. Eventually, all countries in the region started following the same rule. in order to protect the cherished ones from those who wish to harm them or use them for their own purposes. In the event a cherished one should appear, the kingdom in which the challenged one lies shall immediately provide adequate protection. So basically, nowadays all countries are wishing for a cherished one to show up in their territory since that was the only way to claim them. The king mentions word came out that a challenge to one had finally appeared here in the Dragon Kingdom. Everyone has been very anxious. He apologizes for the tense atmosphere, stating to not worry about it. She think it can't be helped. She'd be surprised too if someone like her suddenly appeared. As the men were talking about Ruri being the cat, the fairies thought that she was being bullied. After this, the Dragon King made everyone else wait outside. The king declares that on the subject of her sudden appearance he would like to inquire why she came to the capital. He heard that she had been in Chelsea's care for a while before she sent her to the capital. Does she have any special reason for coming there now? Ruri countered back that there was no reason in particular, it was just she doesn't know a lot about this world. This figure, by going to the royal capital she had, is able to observe the kingdom and the people in it and learn the ways of this world. Also, she need to decide how she was going to live in this world from now on. Chelsea told her she need to think about these things. The king articulated that she doesn't sound so thrilled about it. Furthermore, the king stated, well, no matter what, they will provide her with a room, food, clothing, and whatever else she may need. If she wishes to know more about this country, they will prepare a teacher for her. If there was anything else she want, only just tell him. He also stated that she was free to go wherever she wishes without restriction. However, he would greatly appreciate it if she informs them when she leaves the castle. Ruri thanked him and stated that he doesn't have to do all that just for her, but the king expressed that in return, he has a favor to ask of her. Should she ever be treated unfairly, please tell him about it immediately. Ruri voiced that he means she should report directly to him. The king declares that yes, he will handle those matters by himself. Also, if the fairies ever start rampaging, he would like her to stop them. Ruri wondered if something happened. She expressed that she understands she will talk to the fairies for him. She called out everyone and instructed them to not attack anyone on her behalf even if she is harmed. The fairies understood and agreed upon it. The king uttered that it was so cute. Ruri inquired if he did just say something. The king refused. What does she mean? Basically, in the end, the king thought about her being a human, and so Clash showed her the room prepared for the cherished one. She ended up living a luxurious life in the castle. Ruri was amazed by looking at the room and asked if he was sure he had got the right room just for one cat. Klaus stated that of course, they prepared a room similar to that of the king. He further asked what she would like to eat for dinner tonight. A fish? She doesn't eat vegetables, does she? Ruri articulated that she was fine with normal means if possible. Would she get it on a normal plate as well? Klaus exclaimed, really? Will her stomach be all right? Ruri assured that don't worry, she will be fine, she was a normal cat after all. Klaus enlightened that is understood, he will have the staff make her a regular meal. Ruri expressed that phrase was useful she see. After a while there was a meal on her table. The fairies were there also. Ruri questioned them, did he leave? The fairies remarked that he left. Ruri expressed, will they tell her if he gets close to the room again? And she changed her form back to the human and noticed that even in the human form this room was still huge, and she went for eating and decided to go for a walk later and complimented that the sandwiches were delicious. Thanks for watching it, guys. Smash that subscribe button like it's your morning alarm clock.